So I only took one class on orchestration in college, and it was one of the most unexpectedly fun classes I think I've ever taken. If you're not familiar with what orchestration is, at a very basic level, it's about expansion in music. The way this class worked is that you were given assignments in the form of solo pieces. They would give you a solo piece for piano or whatever instrument, and your job was to take that and expand it to a certain subset of other instruments. So at first we would take something like a piano piece and only rewrite it for a string quartet, then we would rewrite it for like a wind ensemble, then maybe a brass section, and then eventually a whole orchestra. Your job as an orchestrator is to take the baseline tune and distribute all its characteristics across different instruments at different times throughout the piece. Now, while there are some guidelines that can help you orchestrate something, there are really no hard and fast rules because it's kind of all subjective, right? Who's to say that that one melodic line that you designated to be played by the violin and the cello should necessarily be played by the violin and the cello? Like, only you can really decide if that's what you wanted. It's kind of like when you make a demo for a song and the only way that it exists is in a voice memo on your phone with like some okay guitar playing and some humming and not really any lyrics, right? And then you take that demo and you write some lyrics and you bring it into Logic and you run it through like a virtual amp and you're like, oh, okay, like now it's coming together. Orchestration is like doing that, but to an already made song and taking it to the next level. It just breathes new life into a piece and adds a lot of depth and dramaticism. Admittedly, the whole idea for this video was born out of me hearing Weezer's latest record, OK Human. Basically, Weezer's producer, Jake Sinclair, who you might know for doing a lot of stuff for Panic at the Disco, said to Rivers Cuomo, sit at the piano and write the whole album with only that. Then we'll hire a 32-piece orchestra to make it beautiful. And I gotta say, I personally think that it worked out really, really well. Granted, there is a rock drum kit still in the arrangement to kind of keep time, and that kind of might feel a little rock opera-y or theater-esque to you, and that's okay, but I don't really think it comes off that way. It comes off pretty natural, surprisingly. The presence of the orchestra really makes for a lot of chill-inducing moments. Probably one of my favorites on the whole record is on the track Alu Gobi, which I would play for you here, like I do in other videos, but copyright because Weezer has not played this live anywhere yet. There's a moment on that track where all the rhythm drops out and it's just Rivers and a string section. And it's like that feeling you get when guitar drops out of a song and it's just like drum, bass, and vocals, and you're just waiting for the song to kick back into gear. Except in this case, since there's an orchestra, it's that feeling multiplied by a lot. But this isn't the first time that I knew that orchestrated songwriting hooked me. In 2017, I saw The Tallest Man on Earth at the Knockdown Center in Queens. I still, to this day, when people ask me, hey, what's your favorite show? I still say this one. If you don't know, The Tallest Man on Earth is actually quite a short man from Sweden who is really good at guitar. And his voice has this super unique, super rustic, super folky quality to it. He kind of ends up sounding like he's from somewhere in the Midwest US, which is kind of cool. I guess it just shows that he's really well studied in folk music, but yeah. Anyway, nearly all of his early recorded stuff is just guitar and voice, which there's no problem with, and in fact, I'm in the mood for a lot of the time. But when I saw him in 2017, he was touring with this group called E-Music. It might be Y Music, but I'm pretty sure it's E-Music because that would mean and music in Spanish, I think. I'm gonna read you what they say they are. E-Music is a sextet chamber ensemble from New York City consisting of a trumpet, flute, clarinet, violin, viola, and cello. The group was formed in Brooklyn in 2008 by trumpeter CJ Calmieri and violinist Rob Moose, who, yes, arranged Phoebe Bridgers' Copycat Killer EP. Anyway, at this show, I heard songs that I had only previously known to exist in the context of guitar and voice, orchestrated for this sextet. And it was crazy. It was probably, I almost cried. It was probably some of the most beautiful music I've ever heard live. And I do have a clip to show you that I took myself. So here. Brings me to my point that I think orchestration is super fun for singer-songwriter music. Like if you were to give an arranger or an orchestrator, whatever you want to call them, singer-songwriter music, it has to be, I would imagine, like a kid in a candy store type moment because there's so much room to play and get creative there. And when you think about it, when you have someone else orchestrate your music, it's kind of like when you hire someone else to mix your music to get a new perspective because you've been looking at it for so long. Hiring someone else to orchestrate your music is super cool in a similar way. They try to retain the original sentiment of the piece, obviously, but they just paint it with new textures and colors via new instruments. And they usually reinforce or ornament the compositional ideas already there. The whole process just adds so much depth and replay value for singer-songwriter material. But sometimes singer-songwriters are out of this world talented and can play all of the instruments in something like the E-Music Sextet. Like Andy Schaaf, the dude is a Canadian singer-songwriter with a great accent, can play like guitar, drums, bass, keys, clarinet, I think flute, like he can play a lot of stuff. He played everything on his last record, The Neon Skyline. And when my friends introduced me to him last summer, I was drawn in like immediately. Andy Schaaf is such a great introduction to orchestrated songwriting for most people, I think. And here's why. I think for most people, their experience with the orchestra lies in cinema, right? Anytime they hear an orchestra or listen to orchestra music, they feel like they're in a movie. Like that's what everyone says, like, oh, it feels like we're in a movie. Andy Schaaf on his last year records tells the story of a night out with friends, right? The first record, The Party, is about exactly what it sounds like. It's about a party. And then the next record, The Neon Skyline, I believe the Neon Skyline is the name of the bar the characters from the party go to after the party. The point is, his songwriting style is extremely narrative on both records. Talking about going places, doing things, and quoting conversations are brilliant ways of making room for orchestration to enhance the imagery. Take the tune Early to the Party, for instance. There's this big orchestral swell after a chorus that eventually drops and just leaves Andy to deliver some pretty depressing lines to his friend about how a guy, yet again, is going to leave her lonely after kind of being an ass.
I guess he said a few. He's talking shit, he never thinks of you. So bite your lip and watch him walk off with his friends, leaving you all alone once again.
The gravity of that event in the story could have easily been lost on you if it was just guitar and voice. But with the added timbre and dynamics of the orchestra, you can't miss it. It might even make you cry. Now, I'm making this video also admittedly because I want more examples of this kind of stuff from you guys. I want more of it, and to be honest, I don't really know exactly where to seek it out. I've got Andy Schaaf, The Tallest Man on Earth, and the new Weezer record, but that's about it. Please drop a comment and let me know below. I want to start collecting orchestrated songwriting because I think it's just really cool. All right, I think that's been it. Thanks for watching. My family's making dinner downstairs. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Thank you.